Nathan Sterling sat in his glass-walled office on the 40th floor of Sterling Tech headquarters. His eyes fixed on the San Francisco Bay stretched out before him. The spring morning was clear and beautiful, but he barely noticed. His phone vibrated with an incoming email that made his blood run cold. The sender was Victoria Hayes, his ex-wife of 8 months. Subject line: "We need to talk." Urgent. His assistant Jennifer knocked softly before entering. "Your conference call with the Tokyo investor starts in 10 minutes, she reminded him gently. Nathan's hand trembled slightly as he set down his phone. "Cancel it. Cancel everything for today. Tell them it's a personal emergency." Jennifer's eyes widened with surprise. In 3 years of working for Nathan, she had never seen him cancel important meetings. This was the man who had once conducted a board meeting from a hospital bed after a skiing accident. "Are you all right, Mr. Sterling?" "I will be," Nathan replied, though he wasn't sure he believed it himself. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the elevator, his mind racing through possibilities. Victoria had been adamant about cutting all ties after their divorce. She had walked away from the marriage and his millions without looking back, taking only what she had earned during their 4 years together. The coffee shop meeting 30 minutes later. Nathan pushed open the door to the Blue Haven, a quiet coffee shop in the Marina District where he and Victoria had spent countless Sunday mornings during happier times. His heart nearly stopped when he saw her sitting at their old corner table. But she wasn't alone. Beside her chair sat a baby carrier, and inside was an infant with a thick head of dark hair. Sleeping peacefully beneath a soft green blanket, Nathan approached slowly, his expensive Italian shoes silent on the wooden floor. Victoria looked up, and he was struck by how tired she appeared. Her honey blonde hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and dark circles shadowed her hazel eyes. She had always been beautiful, but now she looked worn down by something heavier than just sleepless nights. "Hello?" "Nathan," she said quietly, her voice lacking the warmth that once held for him. "Victoria." He managed, his eyes drawn to the sleeping baby. "I see you have news to share." She took a deep breath. "This is Oliver. He's 5 months old." "Nathan, he's your son." The world seemed to tilt sideways. Nathan gripped the back of the chair to steady himself. "That's impossible. We were always careful. The divorce was finalized 8 months ago. Nothing is 100% effective." Victoria replied, her voice steady despite the emotion in her eyes. "I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks after we signed the papers. I tried calling you 4 times. Your assistant said you were traveling. London, then Mumbai, then Singapore. I left messages. You never returned them." Nathan felt shame wash over him. After the divorce, he had thrown himself into expanding Sterling Tech internationally. Desperate to fill the void Victoria had left, he had spent months in different countries, avoiding anything that reminded him of her. "I didn't know," he said weakly. "I'm telling you now because Oliver needs you." Victoria continued, her composure cracking slightly. "He has a serious heart condition. The doctors call it tetralogy of Fallot. He needs surgery soon, a specialized procedure that my insurance won't cover. I've spent everything I saved trying to get him the best care." The weight of fatherhood. Nathan looked down at the sleeping infant. Billy looked at him for the first time. The baby had his dark hair, the same strong chin that Nathan saw in his own mirror every morning. Even in sleep, there was something familiar about the tiny face. "How serious is it?" Nathan asked, fear replacing the shock. "Without surgery, is maybe 18 months, Victoria said, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. "The procedure he needs costs over $200,000. The best surgeon is Dr. Rebecca Martinez at Children's Hospital. She's agreed to take the case if we can arrange private payment. I'll handle it." Nathan said immediately, his business instincts kicking in. "Whatever it costs, wherever we need to go. I'll have my team contact the hospital today." Relief flooded Victoria's face, but it was quickly followed by wariness. "Thank you. I just need financial help. I don't expect anything else from you." Those words cut deeper than Nathan expected. "He's my son, Victoria. I have a right to be involved in his life. Do you?" She challenged, her eyes flashing with old pain. "You barely had time for a wife. What makes you think you can make time for a child who needs constant care and attention? Before Nathan could respond, Oliver stirred and began to whimper. Victoria lifted him from the carrier with practiced ease, settling him against her shoulder. The tenderness in her expression as she soothed their son made Nathan's chest ache with regret for everything he had missed. "A father's promise, can I hold him?" Nathan asked quietly. Surprise crossed Victoria's face, but she nodded and carefully transferred the baby into his awkward arms. Oliver was lighter than Nathan expected, a fragile bundle of warmth and possibility. The baby's eyes opened, revealing eyes the same deep brown as Nathan's own. In that moment, holding his son for the first time, Nathan Sterling felt something shift inside him. All the board meetings, the stock prices, the expansion plans that had consumed his life suddenly seemed hollow compared to the tiny life in his arms. "I've already missed 5 months," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I don't want to miss any more." Victoria sighed. "Nathan, a baby isn't a business project you can just schedule into your calendar. Oliver needs consistency, presence. Those are things you never learn to give." "Then teach me," Nathan said, looking up at her. "Give me a chance to prove I can change." People can change when they have the right reason. One crisis doesn't fix years of choosing work over everything else. Victoria replied, taking Oliver back. "Right now, all I can focus on is getting him healthy. That's the only thing that matters." Nathan nodded, respecting her boundary, even as determination settled in his bones. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a business card, writing his personal cell number on the back. "This is my direct line. Day or night, if either of you need anything, call me. I mean it." As Victoria gathered her things and prepared to leave, Nathan made a silent vow to his son and to the woman he had never stopped loving. He would prove that some things mattered more than corporate success. Some things were worth rebuilding your entire life for. What he didn't know was that securing the surgery would only be the beginning of their journey, and that the next few weeks would test everything he thought he knew about love, sacrifice, and second chances. 3 days after their coffee shop meeting, Nathan stood in the sterile hallway of San Francisco Children's Hospital, watching through a window as Victoria completed admission paperwork for Oliver. True to his word, Nathan had moved mountains to arrange everything. He had contacted Dr. Rebecca Martinez personally, secured a private suite at the hospital, and arranged for the surgery to happen within the week instead of the typical 3-month wait. "Mr. Sterling." A nurse with kind eyes approached him. "Dr. Martinez is ready to see you. Miss Hayes now." Nathan followed her through the maze of pediatric wards, his heart heavy with the reality of what his son faced. He had spent the last 72 hours researching tetralogy of Fallot, learning about the 4 heart defects that comprised the condition, understanding the risks and complications. The medical terminology still felt foreign, but he grasped enough to know that Oliver's life hung in a delicate balance. Meeting the surgeon Dar, Rebecca Martinez was a woman in her early 50s with silver-streaked black hair and steady hands that had saved countless young lives. She stood beside a large monitor displaying a detailed image of a tiny heart, its chambers and vessels highlighted in different colors. "Mr. Sterling." "Miss Hayes, please sit down," she said warmly as they entered the consultation room. "I want to walk you through exactly what we're dealing with, what the surgery will involve." Victoria sat rigidly in her chair, Oliver sleeping peacefully in her arms. Nathan took the seat beside her, close enough to offer support, but careful not to invade her space. "Oliver has 4 distinct abnormalities in his heart," Dr. Martinez began, pointing to the screen. "A hole between the ventricles, a narrowed pulmonary valve, thickened right ventricle, and an aorta that sits directly over the ventricular defect. Together, these prevent proper oxygen flow to his body." "What does the surgery entail?" Nathan asked, leaning forward. "We'll perform open-heart surgery to repair all 4 defects," the doctor explained. "We'll close the hole with a patch, widen the pulmonary valve, and reshape the right ventricle. The procedure typically takes 4 to 6 hours." "And the success rate?" Victoria's voice was barely above a whisper. Dr. Martinez met her eyes with compassionate honesty. "With the traditional approach, We see about 87% success for cases like Oliver's. However, I'm recommending a newer technique that I've been developing. Early results show a 94% success rate. With faster recovery times and fewer complications, why isn't insurance covering this newer method? Nathan questioned. Because it's still considered experimental, Dr. Martinez replied. The medical community needs more long-term data before insurance companies will approve it. But I performed this procedure 32 times with excellent outcomes. The cost doesn't matter, Nathan stated firmly. Only Oliver's survival matters. Victoria glanced at him with an expression mixing gratitude and resentment. The ease with which he dismissed financial concerns that had kept her awake for months clearly bothered her. But she said nothing. An unexpected visitor, after finalizing surgery details with Dr. Martinez. Nathan and Victoria walked to the hospital parking garage in tense silence. Nathan had arranged for a driver, but Victoria had insisted on keeping her own vehicle for independence. I've taken a leave of absence from work, Nathan said as they reached her car. I'll be staying here in San Francisco through the surgery and recovery. I want to be present for all of it. Victoria froze, her key halfway to the lock. You've what? I've cleared my calendar for the next 6 weeks, Nathan continued. My vice president is handling daily operations, and I'm only taking emergency calls. This is where I need to be. That's unexpected, Victoria said slowly. During our marriage, you never took more than 3 days off in a row. He's my son, Nathan replied softly, and you shouldn't have to face this alone. Before Victoria could respond, a man's voice called out from across the parking garage. Victoria, wait. They both turned to see a tall man in his early 30s jogging toward them. He had sandy brown hair, athletic build, and wore casual clothes that suggested he had rushed to get there. His face was etched with concern. Ryan, Victoria said, surprise evident in her voice. What are you doing here? The friend from Philadelphia, Rhiann Mitchell, reached them, slightly out of breath. I've been calling you for 2 days. When you didn't answer, I called your sister, and she told me about Oliver's surgery. Why didn't you tell me you were coming to San Francisco? Everything happened so fast, Victoria explained, shifting Oliver in her arms. I didn't have time to update everyone. Ryan's eyes moved to Nathan, assessment and confusion crossing his features. And who is this? Nathan extended his hand. Nathan Sterling. I'm Oliver's father. Ryan's expression shifted from confusion to shock. The ex-husband. His voice rose slightly. You're the one who was never around? The one who chose boardrooms over his marriage? That's enough, Ryan, Victoria interjected firmly. No, it's fine, Nathan said calmly, though his jaw tightened. You're right. I made terrible choices during our marriage, but I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. Ryan turned to Victoria, his voice softening. Vic, you told me the father wasn't in the picture. You said you were handling this alone. That's why I flew out here, to be with you during the surgery. Complicated relationships. Victoria's face flushed with discomfort. Ryan has been Oliver's pediatrician in Philadelphia, she explained to Nathan. He's also become a good friend over the past few months. A good friend who drops everything and flies across the country, Nathan observed, understanding dawning. I see it's not like that, Victoria said quickly, though her defensive tone suggested otherwise. Ryan stepped closer to Victoria, his body language protective. I've been there for every doctor's appointment, every sleepless night when Oliver was struggling to breathe. Where were you? I didn't know I had a son, Nathan replied evenly. If I had known, nothing would have kept me away. The three stood in tense silence until Oliver began to fuss. Victoria bounced him gently, her attention dividing between the baby and the two men facing off in the parking garage. Look, Nathan said, making a visible effort to remain calm. I appreciate that you've been supporting Victoria and Oliver. Truly, but I'm his father, and I'm taking responsibility now. Ryan's eyes flashed with anger. Being a father takes more than money, Sterling. It takes showing up every single day. A mother's decision here, both acting like I'm not standing right here. Victoria said sharply, her exhaustion finally showing. Ryan, I appreciate you coming, but Nathan is right. He's Oliver's father, and he has a right to be involved. Nathan, she turned to him. Ryan has been incredibly supportive during the hardest months of my life. I won't have you dismissing that." Both men looked chastened. "Oliver's surgery is scheduled for Thursday morning. Right now, that's all that matters. Everything else can wait." Ryan nodded reluctantly. "I'm staying until after the surgery. I booked a hotel near the hospital. I've arranged an apartment close by," Nathan said. "There's a second bedroom if you need somewhere to stay, Victoria." "For you and Oliver," Victoria hesitated, clearly torn between pride and practicality. "The apartment has everything Oliver needs. Medical equipment, monitoring systems. Everything," Nathan confirmed. "I had it set up by a specialized pediatric care company. There's a nurse on call 24 hours if we need assistance after a long moment." Victoria nodded. "Okay. Just until after the surgery and initial recovery? Unexpected." Cohabitation. The apartment Nathan had secured was in a modern building with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay. Victoria walked through it slowly, taking in the expertly designed nursery with hospital-grade monitoring equipment. Disguised within cheerful decor, "This is too much," she murmured, running her hand along the custom-built changing table. "Nothing is too much for Oliver," Nathan replied, watching her carefully. That night, they established an awkward routine. Nathan proved surprisingly capable with Oliver, learning quickly how to prepare bottles, change diapers, and soothe the baby when he fussed. Victoria watched with guarded surprise as the man who had once worked through their anniversary dinner now sat patiently burping their son at 2 a.m. On the second night, Victoria found Nathan in the nursery at 3 a.m., holding Oliver and speaking softly. The baby was awake but content, his tiny fingers wrapped around Nathan's thumb. "You're supposed to be sleeping," Victoria said from the doorway. "I wanted to spend time with him," Nathan replied. "In case something goes wrong with the surgery, I want him to know my voice, my presence." Victoria's eyes filled with tears at the unspoken fear they both carried. "Nothing will go wrong. Dr. Martinez is the best." Nathan looked up at her. "I'm sorry, Victoria, for everything. For not being there when you needed me. For missing the first 5 months of his life. For all the ways I failed you during our marriage." Victoria crossed her arms. Protecting herself from the emotions his words stirred. "One apology doesn't erase for years of being second place to your company." "I know," Nathan said quietly. "But I'm asking for a chance to do better. Not just for Oliver, but for us." "There is no us anymore," Victoria whispered, though her voice lacked conviction. As surgery day approached, the tension in the apartment grew. Ryan visited daily, his presence a reminder of the support Victoria had found without Nathan. But late at night, when Oliver needed soothing or Victoria's anxiety kept her awake, it was Nathan who sat with her in the dim living room, both of them silently praying for their son's survival. The storm was coming, and they would face it together, whether they were ready or not. Thursday morning arrived with a gray sky that matched the somber mood in the apartment. Nathan woke at 5 a.m. to find Victoria already awake, sitting in the rocking chair with Oliver cradled against her chest. She was singing softly, a lullaby he remembered from their early days together when they had talked about the family they would someday have. "How long have you been up?" Nathan asked gently, entering the nursery. "I couldn't sleep," Victoria admitted, her voice hoarse from crying. "I keep thinking about all the things that could go wrong." Nathan knelt beside the rocking chair, placing his hand on Oliver's tiny back. "Dr. Martinez is the best. Our son is strong. He's a fighter, just like his mother." Victoria managed a weak smile. "He has your stubbornness, too. Once he sets his mind to something, he doesn't give up easily." They sat together in the pre-dawn darkness, both afraid to voice the possibility that these might be their last peaceful moments with their son. Oliver slept peacefully, unaware of the battle his tiny body would soon face. Arriving at the hospital by 7 a.m., they were at Children's Hospital, navigating through pre-surgery preparations. Nurses came and went, checking Oliver's vitals, explaining procedures, asking Victoria to sign consent forms that made her hands shake. Nathan stood close, offering silent support, his own fear carefully hidden beneath a calm exterior. Ryan arrived just as they were preparing to take Oliver to the operating room. He carried a small stuffed elephant, soft and safe for infants. "For Oliver," he said quietly, handing it to Victoria. "So he has something to come back to." "Thank you," Victoria whispered, her eyes brimming with fresh tears. Dr. Martinez appeared in surgical scrubs, her expression confident but serious. "We're ready for him. The procedure should take about 5 hours. I'll have a nurse update you every hour. I'll come speak with you personally as soon as we're finished." Victoria held Oliver close one last time, breathing in his baby scent, memorizing the weight of him in her arms. "Be strong, my brave boy," she whispered against his soft hair. "Mommy and Daddy will be waiting for you." Nathan watched as the surgical team took their son, feeling helpless in a way he had never experienced in his carefully controlled life. The moment Oliver disappeared through the operating room doors, Victoria's composure finally shattered. She collapsed against Nathan's chest, sobbing with the fear and exhaustion she had been holding back for months. The longest. The surgical waiting room became their prison for the next 5 hours. Nathan held Victoria as she cried, then sat beside her in silence, their hands eventually finding each other without conscious thought. Ryan paced near the windows, checking his phone compulsively, occasionally bringing coffee that no one drank. The first update came at 8:30. Dr. Martinez's assistant reported that the surgery had begun smoothly and Oliver was tolerating the procedure well. The second update at 9:30 brought similar news. But by 10:45, when the third update was late, Victoria's anxiety spiked dangerously. "Something's wrong," she said, standing abruptly. "They should have updated us by now." Nathan pulled her back down gently. 5 minutes late doesn't mean anything is wrong. The surgery is complex. Timing isn't exact, but Victoria couldn't be calmed. She paced the small room, her breathing rapid and shallow. Nathan recognized the signs of a panic attack and guided her to a quiet corner. "Look at me, Victoria," he said firmly, taking her face in his hands. "Breathe with me. In through your nose, out through your mouth." A moment of truth as Victoria's breathing slowly steadied. She looked into Nathan's eyes and saw the same fear she felt reflected back at her. For the first time since their reunion, his careful composure cracked, revealing the terrified father beneath the confident businessman. "I can't lose him," Nathan whispered. "I just found him. I can't lose him before I've had a chance to really be his father." "You won't," Victoria said, finding strength in his vulnerability. "He's going to be okay. He has to be." They held each other, drawing comfort from shared fear and hope. Ryan watched from across the room, his expression unreadable as he witnessed the connection that still existed between his friend and her. Ex-husband at 11:15. Dr. Martinez finally entered the waiting room, still in her surgical scrubs. All three of them jumped to their feet, searching her face for any indication of the news she carried. The verdict: the surgery was successful, Dr. Martinez said, and Victoria's legs nearly gave out with relief. Nathan caught her, holding her upright as the doctor continued. "We repaired all 4 defects. Oliver's heart is functioning beautifully. He's in recovery now. You can see him in about 30 minutes. Victoria buried her face in Nathan's shoulder, body shaking with sobs of relief and gratitude. Ryan exhaled loudly, running his hands through his hair. Nathan closed his eyes, silently thanking every deity he could think of. "There's a long recovery ahead," Dr. Martinez cautioned. "He'll be in intensive care for at least 3 days, then regular pediatric care for another week. But if everything continues as well as it's going, you should be able to take him home in about 10 days. "Thank you," Nathan said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for saving our son's life." After Dr. Martinez left, Ryan approached Victoria and Nathan. "I should give you to some privacy. Call me when you're ready for visitors." "Ryan, wait," Victoria said, pulling away from Nathan. "Thank you for being here. For everything you've done for us." Ryan nodded, his eyes meeting Nathan's for a long moment. "Take care of them," he said quietly. "They deserve someone who will put them first." "I will," Nathan promised. "Every single day." First visit when they were finally allowed to see Oliver. Nothing could have prepared them for the sight of their tiny son surrounded by tubes and monitors. His chest was bandaged, and a ventilator breathed for him. but the monitor showed a strong, steady heartbeat that had been repaired and made whole. Victoria approached the bed slowly, her hand trembling as she touched Oliver's tiny fingers. "Hello, baby boy. Mommy's here. You did so well. You're so brave." Nathan stood on the other side of the bed, his hand resting gently on Oliver's leg. "We're both here, son, and we're not going anywhere." They spent the next hour sitting vigil beside Oliver's bed, speaking softly to him, letting him hear their voices. The intensive care nurse explained that even though Oliver was sedated, he could likely hear them, and familiar voices would comfort him during recovery, a shift in perspective as evening approached and visiting hours ended. Nathan and Victoria returned to the apartment. The space felt different now, charged with hope instead of fear. Victoria showered and changed into comfortable clothes while Nefé ordered dinner from a nearby restaurant. They ate in companionable silence until Victoria finally spoke. "You really stepped up these past few days. I didn't expect that. I told you I wanted to change," Nathan replied. "I meant it." Victoria studied him carefully. "During our marriage, you always meant it too. But work always pulled you away eventually. What makes this time different?" Nathan set down his fork, meeting her gaze directly. "During our marriage, I thought success meant building the biggest company, making the most money, proving I was worth something. But sitting in that waiting room today, terrified I might lose Oliver before really knowing him, I realized I've been chasing the wrong definition of success my entire life." Confessions and clarity. Victoria's eyes softened. "What changed your mind?" "Holding him that first day at the coffee shop," Nathan said. "Looking into his eyes and seeing my own reflection, understanding that I could build 1,000 companies and none of it would matter if I missed the chance to be his father. To be the partner you deserved?" "Nathan, don't," Victoria warned. But he continued, "I never stopped loving you, Victoria. The divorce broke something in me that all my business success couldn't fix. I threw myself into work because being busy was easier than admitting I had destroyed the best thing in my life." Tears slipped down Victoria's cheeks. "You hurt me so badly. All those missed dinners, canceled anniversaries, promises broken because a meeting ran late. I felt invisible in my own marriage." "I know," Nathan said, his own eyes wet. "And I can't undo that pain. But if you'll let me, I want to spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Not with money or grand gestures, but with presence. With showing up every single day." A fragile new beginning. Victoria wiped her eyes. "I can't just forget for years of heartbreak because you had an epiphany, Nathan. Trust takes time to rebuild." "I understand," Nathan said. "I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking for the chance to prove that people can change when they have the right motivation. Oliver is that motivation. You are that motivation." Victoria stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. "Ryan has been good to me. He's been there when I needed someone." "I know," Nathan said quietly, "and I'm grateful to him for taking care of you when I couldn't. But Victoria, what we had, what we could have again, that's worth fighting for." She turned to face him. "If we're going to try this, really try, things have to be different. I need to know that Oliver and I come first. Not second to board meetings or international expansions. You will," Nathan promised, standing to face her. "I've already instructed my team that I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations. I'm staying in San Francisco, near you and Oliver. Whatever comes next, we face it together." Looking forward over the next 10 days, as Oliver recovered in the hospital, Nathan and Victoria fell into a new rhythm. They took turns staying with Oliver, learning his post-surgery care routine, celebrating each small milestone. Nathan proved his commitment by turning down 3 urgent business calls and missing a crucial investor meeting to be present when Oliver took his first bottle after surgery. Ryan visited regularly but gradually stepped back as he witnessed Nathan's genuine transformation. On the day before Oliver's discharge, Ryan pulled Nathan aside in the hospital hallway. "I care about Victoria," Ryan said honestly. "If you hurt her again, you'll answer to me." "I won't," Nathan replied firmly. "I've learned my lesson. Some mistakes you only get to make once. Ryan nodded slowly. She's giving you a second chance. Don't waste it. Going home the day they brought Oliver home from the hospital. Victoria watched Nathan carefully carry their son into the apartment, his movements gentle and confident. The terrified businessman who had awkwardly held his son for the first time 2 weeks ago had transformed into a devoted father. That evening, as they sat together watching Oliver sleep peacefully in his crib, Victoria finally allowed herself to hope. Maybe second chances were real. Maybe people could change. Maybe love was strong enough to heal old wounds. "Nathan," she said softly, reaching for his hand. "Yes, I'm willing to try. Slowly, carefully, but I'm willing to see if we can build something new from what we had before." Nathan brought her hand to his lips. "That's all I'm asking for. A chance to show you that this time I choose us. Every single day, I choose us." Outside, the San Francisco fog rolled in, blanketing the city in soft white. Inside the apartment, a family that had been broken was beginning to heal. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in years, Nathan Sterling understood what truly mattered. Success wasn't measured in stock prices or company valuations. It was measured in moments like these, holding the hand of the woman he loved while their son slept safely nearby. His repaired heart beating strong and steady. Some stories ended with dramatic declarations and perfect resolutions. This story ended with something better: hope, forgiveness, and the promise of new beginnings. It's built on hard-won wisdom and genuine change. Their never-ending story was just beginning. The end.